Hi, everyone. Happy Tuesday. This is Elise with AARP Alabama. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. And if you are a repeated visitor and viewer, thank you for joining us again here today. We have a special treat here for you. It's so great to have our certified workout instructor. Workout instructor Becca Impello to keep us busy, active, and moving throughout the year. And I'd like to welcome Becca. Hi, Becca. How are you doing today?
Hey, Elise, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Can you tell us what we're going to be stretching out today?
Well, we're going to do our yoga session, our mindful movement, and today we're going to do sun salutations. I like to pull a sun salutation practice out every so often, but right here this week is coming up on the winter solstice, right? So this is the darkest time of the year in terms of how much light we have. Our days are the shortest they get right here in this next week. So sun salutations are kind of a way of saying, hey, we have faith. We know the light's going to come back. We know the days are going to get longer. We know that even though we're entering into the hardest, darkest part of winter, we know that spring will come back around. So it's kind of a celebration of light and the sun, and recognition that even in the middle of winter we can hold on to that sunlight.
Thank you. And that is a great point to know. I know a lot of people during this time with, daylight savings, people mood changes. Sometimes people are not as motivated. So we'll just want to say thank you for
Yeah.
keeping us motivated and keeping us, making sure we are stretched out. I just
Mhm.
also want to share before we get into our workout that AARP is the largest nonprofit in the U.S. If you would like to learn more about AARP, please visit aarp.org. Also, as a reminder, before you engage in any workout regimen, make sure you verify with your doctor that the workout regimen is conducive and safe for you. And another thing I would like to also add for our viewers, Becca, I think our viewers would love this. So we have a sweepstake going on till January 6th for our workout. So if you need yoga workout equipment and yoga workout cards and stretching tools, then feel free to sign up for our virtual sweepstake. That
Awesome.
QR code is going to show in the left-hand corner of throughout the show. So make sure you scan that. And just so you can see, we have our comfortable yoga workout mat here, your stretching loops, and our yoga cards to help you make you sure you stay active and stretched out as you work out with Becca and Pello.
All
So
right.
again, folks, don't forget to register. And Becca, I'm going to let you take over from here.
That's a
See you.
great little selection of items there to keep someone going with their yoga and their movement practices. So that's a great thing. So make sure you sign up for that sweepstakes, folks. All right, well, let's get started. We're going to do a little bit of a warm up from the chair first, just to get us moving. And when we get to the sun salutations, I'm going to be giving you some options, some choices. You can do them from the chair, or you could do them from the ground. You could even do them at the wall. So I'll try to show you some different options for how you might do your sun salutation practice based on what works best for you. All right, so let's sit tall. I've got my socks on because it's pretty cold and chilly here right now in live time here down in Alabama. So if you need to keep warm, you can keep your feet covered. Just make sure when we get to standing that there's no chance of slipping or sliding if you've got socks on. All right, so let's sit up tall. Let's just take a moment to breathe. See if you can place a hand on your chest, right up near your collarbones, and then another hand on your abdomen, just on the soft part of your belly. And just let that belly be soft, right? Don't try to hold it tight or hold it in. Just let that belly, be kind of poochy, kind of like a Buddha belly, right? And just take a few breaths. You can close your eyes if you like, and just see if you can feel your hands both in the chest and on the belly moving a bit as you breathe in and out. Try to literally breathe into those hands like you're trying to make those hands move as you inhale. And then make them move a little bit as you exhale when the breath goes out and those places soften and drop back down. Let's take about 3 more breaths into the hands. One more big breath into your hands. Feel that breath in your body. All right, and then let those arms come down to your sides. Let's start with the hands, circle out those wrists. When we do sun salutations, a big part of that sequence is being on your hands, putting some weight bearing on your hands, right? We'll do it with the chair. That's a little less than if we were on the ground, but let's get them loosened up so they're a little more prepared. Go the other way if you haven't switched directions. All right, and then hold the hands out in front and just make a fist and turn those knuckles down to the ground. And this way I'm stretching out the back of the hand. And then I'll pull the knuckles up and open up those fingers and then make a fist and turn the knuckles down. And again, bring them up and open up and spread. One more time, down and up. Now stay up, take one hand to the other and give a little pull back. I'm pulling back on the knuckles, right? Not on my fingertips, and just give it a little stretch for the wrist. I can try to straighten my elbow and get a little more stretch if that feels okay. All right, and then let's do that to the other hand. Press that hand out and then use the other hand to pull back on it gently. And then release, shake them out again. All right, let's move up to the shoulders. Let's start to roll those shoulders. Bring them forward, up towards the ears. Squeeze them back and down. And see if you can feel that on your upper back. Feel those shoulder blades kind of scrunching. There may be some pops and creaks as you move through some places in your muscle and your tissues there that are a little tighter or a little stickier. Then go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. See if you can start to bring your elbows up and sort of circle with your elbows, making just the biggest circle that you can comfortably make. All of the movements that I'm going to suggest have lots of variations, different ways that you can do them. We don't all have to be the same. Maybe make now a big circle with the arms reaching all the way up, just making the biggest sweep or circle that you can make comfortably. One more. All right, and then let's loosen up the spine a little bit. So sitting tall, one hand might hold on to the chair while the other stretches up and over. It gives a stretch to that side body and waist. And then let's go the other way. Now, if you want to drop your hand to your head or not use your arm at all, you can do the side-to-side movement without taking those arms overhead, right? All right, one more each side. Good, and then back to center. Now bring the hands up to the heart, sit tall. We're gonna mobilize the spine a little bit more, this time in the forward and back direction. So I'm gonna pull and then push, and as I pull, I'm gonna lift my chest up, get taller, and as I push, I'm gonna round it, maybe roll back a little bit, so I can get as much of my spine moving here as I want. All the movements you can choose to make bigger or smaller. Let's take 3 more of these pull and push actions. Good. All right, let those arms drop down to your side, and then let's do a little bit for the neck. So turn the head right and left. Just, be easy, not forceful. Just turn to whatever point you reach a little limit. And then next time you bring that chin back to center, drop it down towards the chest and give it a little roll from side to side. So that head roll from shoulder to shoulder. All right. Now, another thing that the sun salutations move a fair bit is the spine and the hips. So let's loosen that up a bit. Take your knees out a little wider, your feet apart. All right. And I'm sitting, just right at the front third or so of the chair. And I'm just going to fold forward and slide those hands down, however far feels comfortable to me. Right? Maybe that's all the way to the floor. Maybe it stops somewhere higher than that. And then roll it back up and sit tall. All right. So again, forward, slowly roll down. See if you can stay there for a moment or two. And then roll it back up. Forward and down. Roll it back up. 2 more. And last one. And back up. All right, got our back a little bit loosened up. Let's just move down and do a little bit of warm up for the knees and the ankles, right? So let's take one leg and bend and straighten. Really try to pull back, kick out, back and forth. Keep that foot forward now and point and flex. Good. Circle it out. And go the other way. All right, other leg, kick and bend, get the blood flowing down through those thigh muscles into the knee joint, down to the lower leg and the foot. Good, keep it out in front again, point and flex, get the ankle and the foot moving. And circle. And go the other way. Good, and then bring that down. Okay, so now we're ready to begin our sun salutations. So like I mentioned, we can do these from a number of different positions, depending on how much load you want to put into your arms, just what positions work best for you in general. So one option is to do it against a wall, okay, or a door. And we essentially just use that wall as the place where we put the hands so that we can do the downward dog, the plank, and even the lunges with those hands on the wall. You won't fold quite as far down unless you choose to, right? You can let your fold just be halfway as you go to the wall. Another option, the one that I'm going to do mostly, is the chair, right? That's kind of a nice in-between. Take my sturdy chair and I'm going to use it as the platform where I place my hands. And then the third option is to do it down on the floor, right? To fold down to the floor instead of to the chair, to take those hands to the floor when we step the legs back. All right, so there's some choices for you. I'm going to do the chair. All right, and we'll do a couple rounds. So you could try some different options if you wanted to. You can also choose to rest if you want after a round or two. All right, so hands here at the heart. This is a, known as a traditional or classic yoga sequence, developed just a couple hundred years ago, but done, by certain styles of yoga on a real regular basis. So it's a nice routine that gets the whole body moving. And like I said, it's intended to be a salute to the sun or an honoring of the light, right? The light gift that the sun brings us, right? So this is a nice way to do our solstice recognition with some sun salutations. All right, so here we go. We'll begin by standing tall. You can bring your hands to your heart, or you can let them stay at your sides. And we'll start with the breath, reaching up, lifting up, getting nice and tall, and then bend the knees and fold forward. You're either folding to the wall, or to the chair, or to the floor. And then you can soften knees and elbows and spine, and you can drop as far into that rounding as you want to. And then we'll lift up. We'll push the hands into the wall or the chair or maybe onto the legs, okay, if you're using the floor, and flatten your back. All right, good. And then soften it up again. All right, now we want hands down, take one foot back, keep one foot forward. So we're in our lunge position. Now with the lunge, you can keep your hands down on the chair, on the wall, on the floor, or you can lift the arms up. So that's an option there to change things up. Maybe make things a little more challenging with your balance. All right, one more breath here. We'll keep it on going. Bringing the hands back down or folding back down. Now we step back into downward facing dog. So pushing the hips back, lengthening out the arms. Knees may or may not be straight. It's perfectly fine for your knees to stay bent or to make a little movement where you shift into those knees, kind of back and forth. All right, now we'll come to a plank. So this is where we just shift into a push-up like position. Again, you're on the wall, those arms are straight out from the shoulders or the chest. You might walk your feet back for a little more difficulty, or you might not. We're going to hold steady, push with the arms, firm up the rest of the body. If you're down on the floor, by the way, you can put your knees down. So that's an option that the folks using the floor have that others don't. All right, now we're going to make a transition so we can do that lunge on the other side. Let the hips push back towards downward dog, and then step that other foot forward. So we've got that lunge on the other side. Again, your option to maybe bring those arms up if you want. All right, and then bringing the arms back down, stepping in. I'm going to step back to kind of where we started, feet underneath the hips. Push into the hands and get that flat back again. And then soften the knees and fold down. Sit back into those heels. We're going through chair pose. So it's like we're sitting down in a chair. Arms can be out in front or they can come closer. All right, and then rise all the way up. Push with strong legs up to the top, maybe a little back bend there. And then hands to the heart. All right, pause here. Take just a moment to check in. How did that first sun salutation feel? Are you starting to get a little warmed up in your body? Maybe you want to try a different option for the second round, the chair, the floor, the wall. All right, let's do it again. Inhale and reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Nice deep bend to the knees. Take it as far down as you comfortably can. And then we straighten things. Maybe all the way straight at the knees, maybe not. So it's okay if they're still a little bent. Flatten your back. Lift up your chest. And then fold it back in and soften. All right, lift up again. Let's take the other foot back first this time, if you can remember, right? Alternate which leg you lead with. And then maybe leave your hands down. Or bring them up. Remember, that's a choice you can make each time. I'm going to give another option our next time for another way that you might play around with a lunge. Also, your arms don't have to be all the way overhead. They could be sort of out to the side or down beside you and maybe pulling back. All right, let's transition. Let's bring it hands back down to their surface. Step back into downward facing dog. This is a great place to take a deep breath. Maybe a sigh out of the mouth. All right, shifting forward into plank pose. Again, making a nice strong plank position, pushing the floor, the chair, or the wall away from your chest. Again, I'm going to give you some options on the next round that you can do that'll involve the core even a little bit more, make this a little more challenging, but it's always an option. All right, let's transition now back to downward dog so we can finish this second sun salutation. Step your other leg forward. And in your lunge or your warrior position, as it's sometimes called, arms can come up. As you're standing here, try to really push that back leg back so your buttock muscle engages. That'll also help you to open up the front of the hip here a little bit more. All right, and then let's transition. Step back in, flat back, lift up, soften the knees and fold. Sit back into those heels for chair pose. Slowly come up, find that nice, solid, strong position for a breath. And then rise all the way up tall. Again, maybe you can take a little back bend at the top. And then hands to the heart. All right, pause here. Breathe in, breathe out again. Check in, see what you notice. What are the effects of doing these practices on your body? All right, third round, I'm going to throw some other options in there that you can choose to experiment with if you'd like. Inhale and reach up. Exhale and fold it down. Lift back up. That's our flat back lift. And fold it down. All right, and then we're going to take one leg forward, one leg back. Again, I'm trying to alternate. Now this time, instead of coming up with both hands, I'm going to turn. I'm going to turn to the left. I've got my left foot forward, so I'm going to turn to that side. Right, so I'm taking a little twist into my lunge. Now I could leave my hand on the wall or on the chair, or I can bring it up. Right, so some options there to play around with. Good. Another breath here. And then unwind, bring it back to your, front again, and then walk back into downward facing dog. Again, maybe you want to make some movement here or take one of those sighing breaths. All right, shift forward for plank. All right, now I mentioned the option here. If you feel steady enough where you are, you can try to do some kind of marching, right? Pulling one knee towards the space between your hands, or towards your belly, or towards your chest. It's a little more core work there. All right. And then let's transition. Push it back into downward dog so that we can then step the other leg forward. Take that lunge on the other side again. I'm going to do that rotation. So just a different version. I can keep my hand in the chair on the support, or I could lift it up. Putting this twist into things usually makes the balance a little more challenging. All right, and then we'll unwind it, step back in, flat back, lift up, soften those knees and fold. And then we'll flow through chair. So shift my weight back, sit back, get a little heavy there in the hips, raise the arms if I want, and then slowly come all the way up, stretching tall, maybe a little back bend, and then hands to the heart. All right, we've got time. We're going to do one more round of the sun salutation. So a fourth round of these. All right, so inhale and reach up. Exhale and fold forward. Lift back up. Fold forward. And again, we're going to alternate which side we're stepping back with, hopefully. All right. Now this time I'm going to come up. I'm going to take some motion instead of holding steady. I'm going to squeeze back and push forward. We did this motion in our warm-up, right? You can do it with one hand. So if you're holding on and you want to pull and push with just one hand, you could do that. Or it could be both. All right, one more. And then transition. Let's take it back to downward facing dog. And then shift forward into plank. Again, if you want to make this a plank where you do some knee pulls, feel free, or you can hold it steady. All right. And then let's transition one more time. Push back to downward dog. Step the other foot forward. Come up into that warrior or lunge. Maybe bring the arms up. All right, same thing. I'm going to pull and push this time around. All right, one more. All right, transition again, fold forward, step it back in underneath the hips, flat back, and then fold. Good, sit back and into chair pose, slowly come up. You could always hold the chair pose longer if you wanted to get a little more work out of that, and then rise up nice and tall. And then bring the hands back into the heart. And just take a moment. You could certainly sit down if you wanted to, or you could stay standing, but just place a hand over your heart. Hopefully you can feel your heart beating, but also feel your breath moving, right? Both of those probably a little elevated after going through our sun salutations there, right? That's sort of the point, is to get blood flowing, get that heart beating a little faster, change our breath rhythm, make us feel our bodies. All right, let's go ahead and sit back down to just finish up our last couple of minutes. We did our sun salutations 4 times through. That got us putting weight on our arms and our shoulders, moving our spine, putting weight on our hips and our legs, moving our shoulders and our hip joints. So we'll just stretch some things out a little bit here. Let's take one arm across the chest, using that other hand just to give it a little hold or a little gentle pull across. Good. Now the same arm, bring it out in front, turn so the palm is up, bend the elbow. Use that other hand to help give it a little push up. We're trying to get a stretch for the triceps, right? You might keep your hand right here in front, or you might find that you can take it over the top of your head. Either way, just bring that elbow up as high as you comfortably can. Get some stretch here for the triceps on the back of the upper arm. And then release, let that arm shake all the way down. And then take the other arm across the chest. Try to keep that ear from crowding your shoulder. Try to keep that shoulder from crowding your ear is what I was trying to say, by bringing that shoulder down a little bit as you pull it across. All right, and then bring it back out in front, palm up, bend the elbow. Again, use that other hand to help push the elbow up to whatever position feels like it works for you. Good, and release. Drop that down, shake that out. Give the shoulders a couple of rolls. All right, now a little bit of stretching for the legs. Take one foot forward, heel down, toes up. All right, I'm sitting right at the front of the chair, and then I'm going to lean in. Now, if your hamstrings are really flexible, it may be hard to lean, far enough to get that stretch. In which case, if you had something that you could prop your foot up on, a block, a box, a tabletop, a low table, that's something that you could do. All right, I'm looking for a stretch through the back of the leg, down the back of the knee, maybe some in the back of the calf. All right, come up, that same leg. Let's cross that leg up and over to the knee. However, if that's too high for your hip, try crossing it at your shin or your ankle, but try to get that leg crossed and turned. All right, and then sit up tall. Maybe lean forward. I can really feel this one today. I did some work yesterday that made my glutes a little tired, apparently. So I'm feeling a stretch back there in that back hip. A couple more breaths with this, a couple more moments. You might move in and out. Sometimes that feels best depending on the person, right? And the tightness there. Or you could hold it steady. Good. All right, release. Let's do this all to the other leg. So first, stretch that foot out in front, heel down, maybe on the ground, maybe elevated up on something. Flex the foot and pull the toes back, and then you're just leaning forward. Now, when I lean, I'm keeping my spine nice and straight. If I rounded and fold forward, I won't feel much stretch in my leg. I have to really tilt the pelvis forward, keep the back straight. All right, and then back up. Then we'll cross again, either ankle up to the knee or maybe ankle to the shin. Okay, across to that other ankle, even whatever place you can get it. And then sit tall. Again, same thing, that tall spine. And then some lean forward is usually going to put a little more stretch in the hip. It could be a moving back and forth as well. Good. All right, release. Let's just sit tall. Move back in the chair, perhaps, if you want. Let's end like we began, with a hand on your chest and a hand on your belly. And just feel your breath. Try to breathe into the hands there. Try to slow it down. You don't have to make it a super big breath. Try instead just to make it a nice, slow and easy breath. All right. And then bring your hands together in front of your heart, a gesture of gratitude. We are all always grateful for you throughout the year. I think we have one more session before the year ends, but don't forget to enter our survey. Use the little QR code in the top left-hand corner of your screen to register to win a yoga mat and some other supplies to help you with exercising. And we hope that you enjoyed this sun salutation practice and that you'll find ways to seek the light in these next dark days of winter.
Thanks, Becca. That was, I love you. Love the fact that you gave us encouraging words to end off on a high note, on a great workout. I know, I don't know about anyone else, but I definitely feel rejuvenated and stretched out and ready to take on the rest of the day. And we look forward, yes, and we look forward to having you again back here for our last show in December.
Yeah. All right, everyone have a happy Hanukkah and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if we don't see you. Enjoy all your celebrations.
Thank you, Becca. Hi, everyone. Again, thank you for joining us today and for watching. Again, remember, you can rewatch any of our content anytime by visiting our AARP Alabama Facebook or YouTube channel. Again, if you're interested in entering our sweepstake, please scan that QR code there on the top left-hand corner. We also have another sweepstake going on for our Jitsu workout that we do with Jerry Haslam. Please go look at their show from last Tuesday to enter for that sweepstake. Again, you won't receive any solicited emails, and you will only be reached out and contacted if you are selected as the winner. We will announce the winner on January 11th. Thank you again, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and we hope to see you again back here next Tuesday. Bye for now.